that's the talent that's on campus. Obviously, that's being supplemented by what we see in the 2017 recruiting class that was one of the best in the nation. Most services in the top 3 for Georgia. The recruiting class and how it looks for 2018, Savannah, what can we expect?
The 2018 class is not going to be near as impressive. I guess you could say, like numbers. I mean, numbers wise, there's just as talented. What I'm trying to say is, for 2017, there was like the Pied Piper with Richard LeCount, and he was, the voice of that recruiting class. There's just not that person that is just standing out and being like, hey, I'm going to be like that person for the 2018 class. However, there is so much talent in the 2018 sector. It's kind of crazy how much talent it is. One in particular is Zamir Zeus White. He is a running back from North Carolina, and he is probably Georgia's most sought after recruit. I've heard people say he's the next Herschel Walker, but then again, every running back recruit that Georgia looks at is the next Herschel Walker. But looking at his film, he is definitely big enough to look like a Herschel Walker, and he's definitely strong enough with his vertical running and even his horizontal running abilities. He just sees that football field well, and once he gets the ball, he's lethal. Another guy to look after, I mean, of course, Georgia needs another quarterback, even though we have Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm taking snaps and stuff like that this spring. But, of course, Trevor Lawrence, he's committed to Clemson, but, it's never a done deal until after you sign that letter of intent. But Georgia is also looking at a couple dual threat quarterbacks as well. You have Emory Jones, who's actually committed to Ohio State right now, but he's still in the mix of things. James Foster, Jalen Maiden, or 2 other guys that are just in the mix of things that Georgia are still pushing and everything like that. One thing I will say about Kirby Smart on the side, though, when it comes to recruiting, noticing from when I was a fan to now, like looking at it in a journalistic perspective, is that he doesn't let go. He doesn't let up. He's going to, if he wants that player on the team or his coaching staff wants that player on the team, they're going to push until they're absolutely no more pushing. Not breaking rules or anything, but just they're very adamant about who they like. Another area that Georgia really needs to look at for recruiting is wide receivers. Georgia's on the smaller end besides J.J. Holloman and a couple other guys. But one guy that stands out to me in particular is Brennan Eagles from Texas. He's about 6'3.5", 214. He's got huge hands. He's just a nice route runner, and he goes up and gets the ball. And that's kind of like what Georgia needs, especially with a strong arm like Jacob Eason. Tight ends, George Takas. I guess that's how you could say his name. He's definitely warming up on Georgia's end. Definitely hope to see him coming on an official visit or just a visit in the next few weeks this offseason. But ideally, if I had to choose, I love watching film and stuff like that. Jeremy Ruckert from New York. He's 6'5.5" and 230. He's like just an ideal looking tight end. He's kind of like an Artie Lynch from a few years ago kind of guy, but he's just impressive on film. Going to, the offensive line and tackles and stuff like that, you have Christian Armstrong. He's a Georgia guy. He's 6'5", 331. Darrell Simpson, 6'7", 336. He's ideally probably what Pittman and them are looking for, kind of similar to an Isaiah Wilson kind of guy. Jameer Slayer is definitely one that people should keep a name. Like, if you want to keep a name out for an offensive tackle, offensive guard kind of thing, he is one. He's a big asset. He's 6'3.5", 327, has nice form, nice flexibility and stuff like that when he's coming up on a block. He's definitely one that I think Georgia will eventually hopefully get anyway. Defensive line wise, KJ Henry, Xavier Thompson, 2 5-star guys. Henry's at 6'5.5", 235. He's a weak side guy. He's very quick off the edge. He's very strong. Just overall impressive. Xavier Thomas as well. He's very fast. He's fast for a defensive line guy, and I think that's what Georgia likes about him. He's kind of like a Trent Thompson kind of player, because Trent's very fast for his size. He's very quick, so that's kind of what they're trying to look for. Brenton Cox is another guy that is a key area on the defensive line. I think if any area Georgia needs to focus on is definitely the defensive line, because they only took 2 technically last season with the Devontae Wyatt and Malik Herring, but Malik Herring can play linebacker too. So it's just like I love seeing these kids that are just versatile and everywhere. And then like an athlete, just throwing some names out there that I like their film. Trying to find that next Isaiah McKenzie kind of guy. Miles Jones, he's 5'9", 170. He's tiny, but he's quick. And then you have Marquez Ezerard. He's about 6 foot, and he's probably the ideal kind of Isaiah McKenzie. He's quick. He's smart when it comes to the ball handling, and he can see the football field extremely well. And but I mean, it's wide open. Georgia's offered so many guys. They keep offering daily, and it's just going to be really interesting to see how the class plays off. But you know, it's only March, and then so you know, like it's just now starting to get into the 2018, really focusing. So with camps and everything coming up, it should be real interesting to see how things alter towards Georgia or away from Georgia, and what kids are really going to decide to see and come visit the campus and stuff. But I'm excited. That's probably one of my favorite things to cover and to look at is recruiting. So.
Oh, people love recruiting. I found that out. People can't get enough on the recruiting trail. They want to hear all the speculation, all the latest, all the so-and-so has cut their list from 10 to 5. They want to get all that. And Savannah, you can take a breath. You covered a ton of ground.
I'm so sorry.
That was great. That was great. You covered a ton of ground, and I was trying to keep up with the list of players that I have here. And the one thing that you said, you know, we could dive into all these players, but the one thing that I'll capitalize on that you said about Kirby Smart that I think is very true is that you have to be strategic in your recruiting. Obviously, you can't waste resources going after a kid who's never going to come. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your resources targeting him. But at the same time, you've got to be tenacious. You've got to fight for that kid till the last second, because you're fighting against some of the top recruiters within the SEC. And then you've got the Ohio States and the Michigans coming in from the Big Ten and elsewhere. And you're talking about, if you're at Georgia, you're trying to get, you just brought in a top 3 class. You're talking about the best of the best in the nation. And to ward off all these other schools, you have got to fight for that ground and keep those relationships going and that contact going with those particular players. So that's a point well taken.
Oh yeah, definitely. One to really note is Isaiah Wilson, because before he came to take an official visit last December, I believe it was, his recruiting was wide open. I don't really know what was said here at Georgia during the visit or whatever else, but whatever they sold him, he bought into, and so the rest was history. He committed, and I like that about Kirby Smart, is because he sees a guy that he knows that he needs, and you know he thinks, okay, he may be, you know, pushing towards a Alabama kind of team or a Michigan kind of team, but at the same time, I want to let him know that Georgia is there, and that's I think why Alabama has been so successful recruiting, is because granted they have all the national championship rings and stuff like that, but then again, you have these guys as coaches that are just tenacious, like you said, and they won't take no for an answer. I mean, they kind of have to sometimes, but that's what I like the most about him, is he sees a 5-star guy, 5-star offensive lineman, tackle, whatever else it takes, he's going to go after him. He's going to be like, here's an offer. Come see Athens. It's kind of hard to deny Athens once you get here, and, you know, you really feel that atmosphere, especially at a football game at night. It's just, the atmosphere is unbelievable. And so I think Kirby Smart has like a perfect area to do what he wants to do. And I think ideally it's going to benefit Georgia in the long run, definitely. So it's going to be exciting to see the future of Georgia recruiting.
All right, Savannah's helped us break down the Georgia offense for 2017. Now we've looked at the defense and a recruiting update as well. So, Savannah, you have saved us. We cover college football across the board, coast to coast here, and we can't do it without covering Georgia. And I was lacking in that area, and you have come to the rescue. So I appreciate you helping us out.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and I thank you. I love talking Georgia football. I love talking SEC football in general. And so when you reached out to me, I took advantage of it because it's an opportunity to talk football. So any opportunity I can get to talk some football, I'm all about it. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Definitely. So it's Savannah Lee, Georgia Princess 07, right? That's the Twitter handle?
Yes, sir. I've had that Twitter handle for too long. I might need to change it now.
Oh,
but
it's a good one. It fits you. That's perfect. You can't change that. So Savannah writes for Bulldog Illustrated. Check out her work there. Savannah, we always appreciate it.
Thank you so much.